This portion of the 1985 VP Fair finale is being sponsored by Schnucks, proud sponsors of the Freedom Festival of the VP Fair. By GTE Sprint, you don't have to give up quality to save money on long distance. By Express Mail, next day service from the post office. And by Forsyth Computers, your personal computer store.
Good evening, I'm Jim Boland.
And I'm Debbie Fabian.
And this is the scene tonight on the riverfront, on the arch grounds, the grand finale of the 108th Veil Prophet celebration, and of course our 5th VP Fair. It's just a beautiful evening, 89 degrees, a little warm, but a breeze blowing that doesn't make it feel like 89 at all.
It's been very pleasant the entire fair. We've had no rain, thanks to all the weathermen, including Jim. And people have really seemed to have enjoyed themselves. This year, the crowd is perhaps a little lighter than last year. They expect close to 4 million people by the time it's all said and done. Last year, the count was about 5 million. Today, up till about 6 o'clock, 425,000 was the estimated crowd, which brings the total to about 3.2 million people. Jim, I was talking to Bill Merritt and Chuck Wallace today, and they said, well, it's not the quantity of people, it's the quality, and they feel they've really given people quality at this year's fair.
You know, they did away with the bottles and cans and bringing your own soda and booze and so forth on the grounds. I think it made it a much safer and much more pleasant family type of affair that they were really shooting for. We're going to give you a round-robin report now, and that has nothing to do with the shape of our first reporter, Robin Smith. That means that we're going to have a little round table. Robin, tell us about the crowd.
Well, Jim, we've seen a lot more strollers, a lot more little people running around the fairgrounds this year. As a matter of fact, families have planned far in advance what they're going to do. For this evening's fireworks display, for example, the McGuire family right back there and the Wagstaff family seated on the blanket in Smith-Ely Park. They've been there, they have their strollers, they have their refreshments. As a matter of fact, I've got a mommy and a daddy from the Wagstaff and the McGuire families. Kathy, tell me, just how long have you been waiting for this front row seat to watch the fireworks under the arch?
We've been down here since 6:30.
How many members of your family with you?
3.
Ranging in age?
10 from till 6.
How do you keep their span of attention that long, Rick?
Oh, we walk them around. Just walk them around, show them everything.
Walk them around and show them everything. Well, I have a couple of co-workers who are at a vantage point wherein they can see just about everything. That's Debbie Warshawski and Dennis Riggs. What do you see from there?
Robin, we see a large crowd gathering this evening. It wasn't all that crowded this afternoon, but apparently the fireworks and the Up With People show, which is set to go in a few minutes, is really bringing them all down here tonight. We're expecting a large crowd. I'm told there are some
I was just talking with Alan Glaub, and he says right now there are about 650,000 people down here. He's expecting the crowd to reach 900,000, if you can imagine that, under the arch by the time the fireworks start. And he said so far they've had no problem with parking or traffic or anything like that, so you can still get down here and still see the show live in person, or you can sit at home and watch it on TV. We're going to be here.
Now to Dan and Julius.
Okay, Debbie and Dennis, we are on the Texas deck of the Robert E. Lee having a party at the party here at this year's VP Fair. This is a spectacular evening, and as you can see from those crowd shots you saw earlier, I think the crowd that has turned out for the highlight of the evening, the big fireworks display, is comparing favorably with the crowd of last year.
Oh, definitely, yeah. This is the largest crowd of the night, of the entire fair. Of course, we've got a good seat for the fireworks, and you'll have even a better seat at home watching the fireworks on TV from our 9 cameras placed around the downtown area. Count them, 9.
Right.
So everything's okay here on the Robert E. Lee. Let's go back to Jim and Debbie.
What I should have said was she isn't a round robin at all. She's a pretty robin, and I didn't want her to get the wrong idea. We have some great things taking place down here, and people still streaming down the streets, coming down. Plenty of room for you if you want, or if you'd like to stay there with a tall, cool one by your side. Well, you'll enjoy it all right through the grand finale fireworks, and then, of course, our expanded newsroom report following the fireworks tonight.
And while the people are gathering, we are going to relive the entire 4-day extravaganza and the 5th day, including the parade.
And we'll take you behind the scenes to show you all about tonight's preparations for the grand finale. We'll be back after this.
How much do the phone companies pay?
And Debbie has a story of one of the fair's great attractions.
Well, Jim, this may be the end of the fair, but it is promised to be very spectacular. And a part of all of that glitz is Art Scholl. He's the aerobatic pilot that puts on quite a show for the crowds here at the VP Fair. And this year, Chris Abel flew along with Art Scholl.
When television producers want a stuntman pilot, they usually call on Art Scholl. He and his dog sidekick Aileron fly a Canadian plane called the de Havilland Chipmunk. Scholl's regular job is performing stunts in movies like The Right Stuff and Indiana Jones. But he says he loves the chance to fly for a live audience. He even agreed to let me ride along, saying this kind of aerobatic flying is pretty safe.
Movie flying is dangerous because there's always something different, but on these it's all very well calculated. Every maneuver is precisely thought of before in advance, and we try to keep it safe.
While an afternoon ride was more than enough excitement for me, Scholl says his favorite feat is tumbling through the sky at night for the VP finale.
The airplane's streaming red, white, and blue smoke, and there are flash and sound rockets firing off at the tail, plus there are salutes being fired from the ground. We change the show from year to year, but we still use the same concept because, you know, we're all proud to be Americans, and I especially around the 4th of July, what a better way to show it but a salute to America.
I just got through walking up and down Market Street and asking people, who is Art Scholl? Joe Loyett was one of the first people to answer correctly. Now, you've seen him. When was the last time you saw him perform?
And I seen him last night, and we seen him last year. And that was just really, really cool to see.
In your opinion, what's the best description of Art Scholl from the spectator's point of view? You seem to be one of his loyal fans.
Oh, he's real professional. You know, it's just, isn't that fantastic how someone can do something like that, and especially doing it, you know, in the night. You know, that's just,
It would be difficult enough during broad daylight.
Right.
Jim Boland, Debbie Fabian are standing by live with more. Jim and Debbie?
You know, I think this year I figured it out. He flies with little Aileron, his dog, on his shoulder. And I think that's because when he flies upside down, he sees which way his ears are going, and he knows where the ground is.
That makes sense.
Tonight during our special, we're not going to miss a thing, are we?
That's true. We're going to bring you live all of the grand finale fireworks display without commercial interruption. This year's show is the creation of Gary Caimano, who's the mastermind of the 1984 Olympics fireworks show. Debbie Warshawski was with Caimano when he put the pieces together for tonight's showpiece.
Double 4, 7, 6 and a double 4, double 4, 6.
On Friday, a crew of 10 from Pyro Spectaculars began setting the stage for tonight's fireworks finale. The stage in this case, 2 barges loaded with troughs, filled with sand, that will steady enormous mortars from which 5,000 shells will be fired. Gary Caimano is in charge here, making sure the proper mortars are positioned according to script. A script he wrote a month ago. It's the pyrotechnic choreography on paper for tonight's show, a show that will be set to music.
You have Johnny Comes Marching Home, kind of the Dixieland feeling in red and gold. You have the fanfare for Common Man, which is done in gold, which will reflect off of that. You've got the whole script of 1776. This barge right now is not that attractive. These mortars are certainly not attractive, but in the night sky, when it's dark and you see effects happening, the stage is floating and no one knows. It's very beautiful then.
When you're watching the fireworks display tonight, Caimano doesn't want you to think about how much work and planning went into it. Instead, he wants you to sit back and just enjoy it as you would any work of art. Caimano and his crew did the finale for the '84 Olympics and come to St. Louis on the heels of 4th of July displays in New York and Los Angeles.
I think that you've got some premier sites in America, and the Arch is certainly one of them. I think, really, that the Arch is probably, everybody knows it. When they see it, they know it. You can fire in San Diego, and people may not know it's San Diego. You can fire in New York, and unless you have the Empire State Building or the Statue of Liberty, you may not know, but this you definitely know. So it is exciting, and the reflection of the shells is what I'm looking forward to.
As you can tell, Debbie is kind of our resident fireworks expert. I understand they have something special for tonight?
The company, Pyro Spectaculars by name, is best known for some of their special effects. And he promises, Caimano promises, that there will be one special effect during the song, God Bless America. I believe it will be something suspended in
He won't
air.
tell you what it is,
He won't tell
right?
you what it yes.
Now, this is a really competitive business, isn't it?
Definitely. Caimano came down here last year to watch the Grucci family's display, which was the big finale of the fair, and he says that it's going to be a lot better than that. The Grucci's claim that they choreograph pyrotechnic displays, but according to Caimano, what they do is real choreography, and that's what we're going to see.
Okay. Well, we'll be back with more of Channel 4's special coverage of the end of the 1985 VP Fair right after this.
Back to the finale of the VP Fair, Channel 4's special program this evening that will bring you to the fairgrounds. Dan and I are standing on the Texas deck of the Robert E. Lee, about 500 feet from where the fireworks will be set off, and two barges are going to be moving into place about 500 yards from where we are right now. I hope you brought an umbrella.
That's right, and a seatbelt or two. You know, and one of the events, of course, that began the VP Fair got underway very early in New Orleans on June 27th. That's June 27th. That was the annual steamboat race, of course, between the Delta Queen and the Mississippi Queen steamboats. And that ended this morning at the Poplar Street Bridge, the finish line. Our own Debbie Warshawski and Matt Mahar boated their boats this morning, and they have this report on battling it out to the last leg of the arch.
It's 7 a.m. on the Mississippi River, and your favorite riverboat race reporters are back to give you the play-by-play on the great riverboat race again this year. I'm Debbie Warshawski on board the Delta Queen.
And I'm Matt Mahar on the bigger, better, and hopefully faster Mississippi Queen.
Huh. Dream on, Mahar. We've already won 2 of the speed races up the Mississippi coming into this last leg.
That's okay, Debbie, because this thing is fixed. Last year you won, and this year it's our turn to win.
Oh, Matt, you're just jealous because you rode with the losers last year. Actually, the winner of the race is determined by a number of events. Events that have been held along the way since the race began in New Orleans. Now, coming into this last leg, those of us on board the Delta Queen have won the famous Floozy Parade, the Calliope Contest, and as I mentioned before, 2 speed races. What's your claim to fame, Matt?
As you know, Debbie, we've won some really big ones here. The crew relay, the drama competition, and we've both tied in kite flying. But the reason we lost the preliminary speed races is...
we got stuck on the sandbar.
That was no accident, Matt. It just says something about the quality of your crew. That's why the captain of the Delta Queen was completely confident.
We're smaller, we're older, but we're better.
The Mississippi Queen is a modern, sleeker, more sophisticated boat. Its passengers and crew members are much more urbane than those on that piece of ancient history known as the Delta Queen.
But, Matt, that's like comparing the Mona Lisa to the Sarah sculpture.
The difference between the Mississippi and the Delta is like the Holiday Inn and the old historical hotel that's being preserved.
The Delta Queen is a much more elegant boat, much more typical of its era. Just a nice boat. Classy.
Very classy boat.
The Delta Queen, the world's only authentic overnight steamboat, took an early lead in the final leg of the race.
But it wasn't long before the overpowering and more astutely navigated Mississippi Queen pulled ahead.
We're number 1! We're number 1! One of my colleagues who is on board the Mississippi Queen claims that this is rigged. Are you telling me it is?
No. Just the ship is rigged, not the race.
Debbie, they're so confident of us winning, they're now telling people to go to the back of the boat just so we can look at you as we pull across the finish line.
Oh, Matt, what a foolish move. I'm told that we're just letting you pull ahead for a while so that you don't feel so badly when we lose sight of you at the finish line.
But remember, Debbie, the same company owns both of these boats, and it is our turn to win this year. So here we are at the Poplar Street Bridge, the finish line, and you're at least 6 boat lengths behind. Like I told you, Debbie, this race is fixed. At least next year, it will be the Delta Queen's turn to win. Want to trade boats next year?
Thanks, but no thanks, Matt. I'd rather stick with a boat with class and a crew with integrity. My captain claims you cheated.
Just the way they positioned their boat, we had to get out in the current to let them have more room. And what can you say?
So until next year...
when this race is staged all over again...
I'm Debbie Warshawski.
And I'm Matt Mahar.
And I'm Julius Hunter. Once again, welcome aboard the Texas deck of the Robert E. Lee. With me is Alex Cornwell, who is the general chairman of the VP Fair Foundation. And Mr. Cornwell, what do you think of the fair so far this year? You give it high marks?
Julius, we've had 3 spectacular days, and today is equally fine. The weather has cooperated
beautifully, and tonight looks like we're going to have another spectacular fireworks show. We're delighted with what's gone on so far.
Now, in retrospect, we're almost at the point of retrospect. Will you have 4 days again, or is that a bit much, do you think?
No, the reason for the 4 days is the quirks of the calendar. And we will have 3-day fairs until there's another gap between the 4th and the weekend, and then we'll have to consider at that time whether we want to have a 4-day fair.
This is the Veiled Profit Fair, but the P-R-O-F-I-T, so that it is not veiled. What happens to the proceeds from this year's fair?
Well, we're a nonprofit organization, and we try to run a small surplus every year to, first of all, ensure our continuance into future years, and secondly, we're in the habit of giving some of that money back to the community. And we're now working on the project of the Riverfront Promenade, and when that's finished, which is our funding for this year, we will think of something else, I'm sure, equally fine to do for the city.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex Cornwell, the general chairman of the VP Fair Foundation. You know, this is America's biggest birthday party, and the fair has gone through quite a bit of evolution over the past 5 years. Debbie Fabian has a recap of the VP Fair over the last 5 years.
This fair holds the potential to become our Mardi Gras, our Indianapolis 500, or our Kentucky Derby.
Those were pretty big words back in 1981. That was when the fair was still an experiment, and many of the organizers were just hoping to break even. 1.5 million people came to the 3-day event that year. Unfortunately, so did the rain. And the downpour sent officials scurrying for a way to protect the fireworks displays. Where to put all those cars was also a major problem of the '81 fair, but nonetheless, it was a success, paving the way for VP Fair number 2. The next year, the rains came again, but parking problems were virtually solved. Officials spread the fair into Laclede's Landing and the downtown area. The Great Fair of 1982 attracted almost 4 million people. The crowd, plus entertainers like Elton John and the Beach Boys, made the national and international press sit up and take notice. And that's exactly what VP and civic officials want the fair to do each year.
It lets people know that St. Louis is here. It's a major community. They think of a lot of their community because they have this fair, and it is well received.
In 1983, 4th of July celebrations continued to skyrocket as more than 4.5 million people crowded the fairgrounds over the 3-day celebration. It was the first year the city was blessed with no rain. Although the financial impact of the event is impossible to estimate, city officials see the publicity as invaluable to St. Louis.
Now you get literally millions of visitors over that 3 or 4 day period of time.
Fair, a new twist. Since there were 2 working days between the holiday weekend and the holiday itself, on Tuesday, a mini fair came to the county. The pre-4th of July party packed Lomar Sculpture Park with county fairgoers. They basically got a small taste of what's available at the Big Bash in the city. Different foods, drinks, a sky show, entertainment, and of course, fireworks. Fair weather and a family theme kept activities on the waterfront going this year. The fair expanded to 4 days, each filled with familiar air shows, water activities, and stage entertainment. But a new city ordinance kept fairgoers from bringing bottles and alcoholic beverages to the fairgrounds, a move city and VP officials hoped would bring more families to America's biggest birthday party.
You know, with the likes of Liza Minnelli and Doc Severinsen et al., we've had a lot of stars here at the fair this year. But the best kept secret was a star you met this morning, and I'm envious of you because she's one of my favorite ladies.
Well, I snuck down to the riverboat race this morning, and actress Helen Hayes was on board, and she came down to the riverfront overlook, and when she saw the arch, her mouth fell open. She was really a sweetheart. We're going to come back in just a moment and tell you all about the entertainment and show you some of it. Come back. You know, it all started 5 days ago. The 1985 extravaganza got underway on Wednesday night, July 3rd, when His Mysterious Majesty, the Veiled Prophet, and his Queen of Love and Beauty made their way through the streets of downtown St. Louis with a big parade. Jim Boland and I were there. Let's listen as Jim recaps this year's parade.
The theme of this year's parade was a history of fun, and judging by the smiles and laughter of the cheering crowd, it was just that.
You having a good time? Yes. What's so great about this? Everything. What about you? What do you like the best? The clown.
The Honorary Grand Marshal, Jerry Greenwald, Vice Chairman of the Board of Chrysler Corporation and a native St. Louisan, shared the honor of hosting the parade with the Veiled Prophet and his Queen of Love and Beauty. Floats, rich in pageantry and animation, wound their way through a crowd of nearly 200,000. Horses pranced and Michael danced to the delight of young and old. And of course, what parade would be complete without the bands? Channel 4's Julius Hunter officially opened America's biggest birthday party on America's 209th birthday. His 4th of July speech set the tone of pride and patriotism.
Let us stand together as a nation. Let us walk together in the unity of liberty throughout the world, from sea to shining sea.
With the official opening officially over, the riverfront was overflowing with activities on land, air, and sea. Matt Mahar toured the arch grounds to bring you a landlubber's look at the fair.
There are only two ways to navigate your way through the VP Fair: carefully and very carefully. As the fair has grown in popularity, the arch grounds have failed to get any bigger. A record number of exhibits, food booths, and vendors have made the squeeze even tighter. Celebrities like television star Scott Baio make things even more difficult. A plan to form a human hand-holding chain around the arch had to be canceled after the teen idol was overcome by fans. The crowds are the worst at the north and south legs of the arch and up and down the wharf. But if you stray far enough away, you're likely to find a little peace, even if you have to forget about the quiet.
Officials this year wanted to make the fair more of a family event. Well, those families that arrived early at the fair seem to be enjoying it the most.
While the entertainment headliners are on the center stage in the evening, there are scores of entertainers to delight children and adults at the far corners of the fairgrounds. You wouldn't have beaten the crowds by getting up at 7 this morning. The area surrounding the arch was filled with thousands of runners competing in the annual VP Fair Run. Well, if running or walking isn't for you, then look skyward with Newsroom's Chris Abel.
It was the largest air show in a downtown area. Once a day, spectators saw a rare sight of the McDonnell Douglas F-15 fighter. It is the premier fighter for this country.
The top speed is 500 knots, which is about 600 miles an hour.
When you are doing your stunts, what goes through your mind?
Well, primarily just thinking about the maneuvers, trying to make them as precise as I can, and watching my altitude and airspeed.
Other military demonstrations included the F-4 Phantom and the Army Golden Knights skydiving team. The Knights have won 6 world championships. On the civilian side, there were many stunt pilots. Featured performer Art Scholl of Hollywood fame rolled through the air. Besides Scholl, the French Connection performed its dual formation. And for the first time at the fair, the Red Baron stunt squad in World War II biplanes executed precision maneuvers. On the ground, but still in the air, tightrope walker Jay Cochrane decided that sitting atop a 70-foot flagpole was more entertaining than walking a high wire. Finally, 18 of the country's top balloonists displayed their windy talents in the 1985 Balloon Classic. Balloonists traveled up to 10 miles competing for $6,000 in prize money. Overall, this year's air show far surpassed the air shows of previous years. But if you missed the air show, there was always the sea show. Betsy Bruce has more on that.
Admittedly, you can't quite call the riverfront the beach, but it's the closest thing we have, so we'll keep it. The mighty Mississippi serves as a stage for a number of VP Fair events, including the annual Race of the Queens, the Delta Queen versus the Mississippi Queen. Earlier this week, the venerable riverboat, the President, returned to St. Louis after spending 50 years in New Orleans. Will be your home port now each summer. 3 times a day during this year's fair, the members of the Midwest Water Ski Productions Incorporated performed for visitors. Some 35 skiers, all in costume, delighted the crowds, clowning around, jumping from ramps, and even building pyramids on the run. So if you came to the fair, that's what you saw, on the land, in the air, and on the sea. Well, the river.
You know, when you're covering the fair here daily as reporters, as we all have done, you kind of lose sight of the enormity of the scope of all of these great events. But when you look at a little package like that that shows you all the various things that went on, it's really something. And, you know, every day, stars have been shining on the main stage under the arch here at the VP Fair. Nelson Hauer, our entertainment editor, takes a look at one musical giant who left more than just a music mark on the VP Fair.
If you weren't among over 100,000 enthusiastic VP fairgoers who celebrated the 4th of July at the Ray Charles concert, sit back, relax, and listen to a master musician.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ray Charles!
Born in Georgia and blind since the age of 6, Ray Charles has been performing for more than 40 years. His early style was marked by the rhythms of jazz, but Charles made a major breakthrough when he blended elements of gospel into his singing and piano playing. Ray Charles has also made his mark on rhythm and blues, pop, rock, and country. The Ray Charles trademark, that husky voice and high-spirited piano playing.
He left his home down in Macon, Georgia. Left the shade of the old tree. He got a dream in his left front pocket. And then I ready for the sea running by.
The Ray Charles concert was a rousing opening to VP Fair Mainstage Entertainment. It was also a concert for a cause. Ray Charles' performance raised money for 5 local charities.
And Ray Charles left a lasting memory among some of his fans right here in St. Louis. What's the best way to describe Ray?
He was a nice, outstanding person. He was patriotic and interjection.
What do you think?
Soulful.
Soulful, okay. But what could be more patriotic on the nation's largest birthday party celebration than baseball? And as a matter of fact, they played home games during the VP Fair. Was that a good idea or a bad one?
I think it was pretty bad because it caused too much traffic.
Uh-huh. What do you think?
I thought it was a great idea. They got everyone from St. Louis all together and have a good old time down here.
Okay. Dan Gray is standing by with, I'll bet, one of your favorite people. His first name is Tito. Dan?
You got it, Robin. Tito Landrum. We'll talk more about America's favorite pastime with outfielder Tito Landrum in just a moment. Guest with us now, Cardinal outfielder Tito Landrum. Nice game today. You beat the Dodgers 2-1. You scored a run, got a hit after 2 losses to the Dodgers. The score was 7-1, right?
Exactly right.
Okay, how is that coming off of 2 losses like that? This has got to be an important win for you, I guess.
Well, especially after yesterday's fiasco, you know, it's kind of like a circus around there. So we were happy to get back in our type of game and get some fundamentals down today.
Yeah. Is all the hoopla on the 4th of July distracting for baseball players? All this other stuff going on while you have to prepare for a game?
I don't think so. In fact, we're enjoying it very much. The people coming out in the throngs, and the ball players are excited to see the fans filling the ballpark.
Yeah. I understand you have some broadcasting aspirations after your illustrious athletic career is over. Is that true?
There is life after baseball, and possibly I may be in front of a camera.
In front of a camera. You want to trade paychecks?
Well, no, not exactly. Not right now, anyway.
Okay, we're going to give Tito a chance to audition for every general manager in the world of a television station that is watching right now, ladies and gentlemen. Tito, see what you can do with that in reading it.
Summer in St. Louis means baseball, a fact that the organizers of this year's VP Fair have not forgotten, Paul Alexander reports.
Stick to your day job.
To paraphrase a famous quotation, he who would understand St. Louis and St. Louisans had better understand baseball. When we're not watching baseball or playing baseball, we're usually reminiscing about baseball.
And why not? No other National League city has as rich a baseball legacy as does St. Louis. The Cardinals have won a National League record 9 World Series championships, and later this summer, all-time base-stealing champion Lou Brock will become the 29th former Redbird to be inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame.
Since baseball is known as the summer game and the VP Fair is the nation's largest annual summertime celebration, it's only natural that this year's fair should feature a tribute to the legends of baseball.
The exhibit is located at the North Triangle of the Arch Grounds. In addition to a parade of living legends like Brock, Stan Musial, and Red Schoendienst, the mini museum includes a major league collection of uniforms and vintage baseball equipment that will impress even the most knowledgeable aficionado. There's even a replica of Busch Stadium, as well as a remarkable model of the old Sportsman's Park. And you know that any tribute to St. Louis baseball wouldn't be complete without a fond remembrance of those lovable losers, the Browns. St. Louis baseball fans have high standards, but they say this special exhibit is strictly big league.
The tradition from the Gas House gang to Whitey Ball, it's great. That's why St. Louis is always the #1 baseball town around.
While Cardinal fans are waxing nostalgic about those 9 World Series championships in the past, the 1985 Redbirds are going to see what they can do about adding another display to next year's fair.
Well, Jim, what did you think about Tito's intro?
I just hope he doesn't have aspirations to be a television weatherman.
Take over your job. Oh,
He's going to be all right, I'll tell you that.
Well, you know, if you didn't make it to any of the baseball games over the past 4 days over at the stadium, there was certainly enough entertainment across the street over here at the fair. Nelson Hauer has a story for you now of all the entertainment acts at the VP Fair.
If you were among the millions to experience the excitement of America's biggest birthday party, when it comes to entertainment, I'm sure you'll agree there was something for everyone to celebrate here at the VP Fair. On the North Satellite stage, the mood ranged from Dixieland to contemporary, pop, and, of course, rock. If you moseyed on down to the South stage, there was plenty of foot stomping and fiddling from local country bands. And, of course, there was the country storyteller himself, Tom T. Hall.
I remember the year that Peyton Delaney died.
Tom has appeared on the VP Country Fair stage before, but he always seems to get a kick out of the patriotic festival.
I don't think any city could do it like St. Louis does it. I don't know, there's something in the air. We have the river here. The river is very important, symbolic of romance and adventure and movement and excitement. And it's an ideal situation, and I'm very flattered to be a part of it.
Meanwhile, across the South Pond, our pint-sized VP Fair fans enjoyed some snappy fun of their own at the Children's Fair. And let's not forget that there was entertainment from around the world at America's biggest birthday party. The international stage is always a popular spot. Catch these Mideastern moves. The action on the satellite stages was fast, furious, and fun, and that was also the mood on the main stage during the second night of the fair, when conductor Richard Heyman teamed up with Doc Severinsen and the St. Louis Symphony for a rousing blend of patriotism and jazz. That terrific trumpeter, Doc Severinsen, wowed the crowd with a free-flowing jazz jam session, and Doc seemed to enjoy the fair as much as his audience.
I think it's fantastic, but it doesn't surprise me at all. You know, St. Louis is a very community-minded town, and they get a lot of things done, it seems.
And that St. Louis community spirit was soaring throughout the 4 days of this year's VP Fair. From the entertainment standpoint, it was a smashing success. And the shows raised money for dozens of worthwhile local charities.
We didn't let Nelson Hauer stray too far because he's going to be back in the next section of our show to introduce the premier lady of the stage today in the musical department, Liza Minnelli.
Her show was just great last
You know that people are watching this show from all sorts of vantage points, not just in their living rooms, but some are watching us right at this very moment on television. Hello there on the boat.
Wave to us. Hi.
Good to see you, pal. You got the right station on. We love you.
Now, Jim, if we can get all the people in all the hotels downtown to come at their windows and wave to us, we'd have a lot of people coming out,
Well,
I'm
if
sure.
he toots his horn, maybe we can get their attention. We'll be back with more coverage of the grand finale of the VP Fair after these messages.
Right now, the Up With People group is in the middle of its concert on the main stage. It looks like they got underway just a little bit late. It might have set the schedule back a bit tonight. At any rate, Dennis, it seems that the stars and the concerts have the biggest effect on the crowd size here at the fair every night.
Yeah, that's true, Debbie. And the man who books and produces all the acts for the main stage is Steve Shankman from Contemporary Productions. Now, Steve, have you had trouble getting any big names to come here?
Well, the big names love it, Dennis. Actually, each big name that's been here, Bob Hope or Linda Ronstadt, or this year with the acts that we've had, This is the biggest crowds that they've ever played in front of. Matter of fact, Liza Minnelli had me go out and get a photographer to take a picture of the crowd for her.
Word is starting to circulate among the performers. This is a good place to come.
When they leave here, it's the biggest audiences and the best that they play in the whole country.
How about money? Is that sometimes a problem?
Well, some of the entertainers to play these larger engagements do demand high amounts of money, but it's worth it when you get shows like we had last night with Liza Minnelli.
I know some performers don't like to perform outdoors. Is that a problem? Limit you somewhat?
Well, you are somewhat limited out here. We start here just with a big lawn, and we have to put up a stage, lights, and sound. But most entertainers understand that, and they work around those type of things, and the outdoor concert has become the wave of the future.
The only real complaint I've heard comes from the young people, and they say there are no rock acts. A few years ago we had Elton John. We don't have that anymore. Why is that?
Well, the fair has decided to go really family because the families are what the fair is about. And what we've tried to do is book really contemporary artists. And even last night at Liza Minnelli, we had a lot of teenagers that really enjoyed the show. I watched the audience last night, and I can definitely fess for that right now.
Speaking of Liza Minnelli, he had a good act in here last night, didn't he?
Definitely. She gave a sizzling performance to a packed house. And Nelson Howard has a special report about that lady.
Liza Minnelli, the multifaceted performer, has conquered every dimension in the business from Broadway to the big screen. Saturday night, Liza dazzled her fans with her dynamic stage presence and her dynamite singing. Liza Minnelli says this VP Fair concert is the largest audience she's ever performed for. And that's not the only reason this concert's so special.
I've been looking forward to coming here for months. It's really splendid.
What do you think of the fair? You've only seen a little of it so far, but what are your impressions?
I think it's a wonderful idea. You know, the whole VP idea is great. It's rare you get an opportunity like this to go out and strut your stuff for more than, you know, 100,000 at a time. I'm so excited.
Besides the thrill of performing before a huge VP Fair audience, there's another reason why this performance is so special to Liza. It's her first major tour since her victory over alcohol.
I feel like I have a second chance. I feel, I thought I was dying, see? So I really feel like I've got a second chance.
Many of us will never get a second chance to see Liza Minnelli perform live, so Saturday's concert was a very special VP Fair musical memory.
Well, Liza with a Z, his mother was Judy with a J, and one of my favorite performers, Judy Garland. They're on the stage right now, live, the Up With People cast that features 125 college-age students representing countries from around the world. These young men and women perform in famous concert halls, village squares, even school gymnasiums. They live with local families. They experience a variety of lifestyles. As you can see and hear, they're sensational.
They sure are, Jim. The group enables young people from varied backgrounds and diverse nationalities to spend a year together within a unique educational framework. Since its incorporation 15 years ago, Up With People has had more than 8,000 students from 52 countries as a part of the program.
Well, of course, entertainment filled much of this holiday weekend at the VP Fair, but there was a serious side to our 4th of July celebration. America was on the minds of many this weekend, especially coming on the heels of the recent hostage crisis. It was a weekend here at the VP Fair that gave many folks a chance to show their true American colors.
Nearly 200 young Americans showed their patriotism by signing up for military duty. While the Scott Air Force Band played and riflemen saluted, the young men and women were inducted into the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. Just after those young men and women took the oath to serve their country, another group took an oath to become citizens of this land. Betsy Bruce was at the riverfront when 300 foreigners became Americans.
I will support and defend the Constitution and the laws.
The ceremony that turns people of foreign countries and foreign customs into Americans doesn't last long, but in each of their lives, it's a milestone. Deciding to leave their homes and look for new ones in the United States of America wasn't easy for these people, but on this day, their struggles have a common reward. They are now citizens of a free country. It was a long road that led Ronaldo Pastora and his family to this day. 9 years ago, he was a doctor in his native Nicaragua. He came to the U.S. to study ophthalmology, but when the family returned to Nicaragua, the Sandinistas were in power, and Ronaldo and his wife didn't like what they found.
We didn't like the government. We did not like the way they were teaching the children in the schools, the teaching programs they had. It was all indoctrination in communism. And nobody told us to leave. You know, we live in our own free will, and we didn't tell anybody. We just got in the car and left, very scared.
Ronaldo is now close to getting his full credentials as an ophthalmologist in America. The move here cost him several extra years of work while he passed American exams and struggled to learn the language.
I had a tough time at the beginning because when I was talking, or someone was talking to me, I couldn't understand at all what they were saying.
But after 4.5 years of struggling, the Pastoras say they made the right choice. Their 2 youngest children, born in America, are already citizens. Their 12-year-old boy will take the oath with his parents.
Well, I think it's like a big privilege, you know. It's a way for me to pay back America for the things she's done for me.
One thing that makes me feel good is that my children's dreams are high. The oldest one wants to be an astronaut. The youngest one wants to go to the Olympics. She likes gymnastics. And down in Central America, I will say, don't dream about it. But here, it's possible, so I won't stop their dreams. I'm a Girl Scout leader, and I'm always telling my girls, you know, you're free here. You're free as birds. You can elect your president. You can do and say whatever you want. Even if you don't like something about your president, you can say it, and you won't go to jail. You won't be tortured. You breathe freedom here.
Certainly a lot of food for thought there for those of us who are native-born American citizens. Night shades are falling over the city, and we have a lot more to go, right?
That's right, Jim. The crowd seems to be bigger tonight than ever, and the fireworks coming up are promised to be the biggest yet, and we'll have those for you later. We have more of this program coming up in a moment.
Welcome back to Channel 4's coverage of the VP Fair here in St. Louis. We are on the Texas deck of the Robert E. Lee. I'm Julius Hunter with the Secretary of the Interior, Donald Hodel. Mr. Hodel, thank you very much for joining us. We're honored to have your presence
Thanks
here.
for having me.
We have been calling this America's biggest birthday party. Do you believe it?
I not only believe it, but that's what I called it just a few minutes ago myself.
How much have you had a chance to see today?
Well, I've had a very, very rapid tour through the whole thing, and I'm just tremendously impressed.
What do you like best about it?
Oh, I think the whole spirit of family and good fun that people are having. It's just a very upbeat, patriotic party.
Are you going to convey that to your boss when you get back to Washington?
I sure am.
Now, does it make you a little nervous to have this many people on your federal grounds here? A lot of people might not know that this whole fair is on federal property.
No, it really doesn't, because that federal property belongs to all of us. I think it's time for us to take pride in America and remember that this land is our land, and it belongs to all of the people, and I think this is a tremendous use of this particular park.
Well, are you worried about any damage to the landscaping? Some people are always concerned about that.
We can replace that, and we can repair it, and you know, if you and I had a party in our living room, we'd have to clean up afterwards, and that'll be true here, but I'm told that really there's less cleanup here than after many smaller activities in some of our other parks. So it's partly representative of the very fine attitude of the people who are here.
So will you send the word forth in Washington that we're having a great time in St. Louis and we'll have again next year, I hope?
We want to do it again next year, you bet.
One quick question about the east side property and the redevelopment of it right across the river. There's some people seated over there right now. They don't have much of a luxurious setting to sit in. What's going to happen with that property?
I really don't know. I understand there's a move afoot to put together a proposal and make a presentation to the Park Service, and I hope that happens, and I'd certainly like to look at it. This is a tough budget time, but I certainly think that what's been done here is a high commendation for what might be done elsewhere.
All right, with so much going on in the great out of doors, perhaps you should consider changing your title to Secretary of the Exterior. What do you think?
I'll buy that.
Okay, thank you very much. Secretary of the Interior, Donald Hodel, and now back to Debbie and Jim near the old cathedral.
Mr. Secretary has never been to one of Julius's parties. I don't know whether we could clean up the living room or not by the time this whole gang got through, especially if we held it tonight. I think we're all ready.
You know, Jim, there are a lot of people who come in from out of town to the fair. Some people come by and say, we're from Indiana, we're from Kansas City, we're here visiting our friends or our relatives. And one thing that has really helped out the VP Fair and St. Louis is that the media, the press, has forced the St. Louis VP Fair on the rest of the country and the world. And as Dennis Riggs found out, this has helped sell a new image for St. Louis.
The St. Louis Blues. It's probably one of the best-known songs about our city. But blue is hardly the way people around the country and the world are seeing St. Louis today, courtesy of the VP Fair. The fair has brought the CBS and ABC morning news programs and about a dozen national magazines to town for an upbeat look at St. Louis. There have been stories on the fair in newspapers in places like Paris and China. In Hong Kong, there was a 4-column front-page picture of our celebration.
That's really not as important as grassroots, and that's what it's all about. It all began right here, just like you and I talking on this microphone. It's been the support of the local media, the television stations, radio stations, and the newspapers that have really put this fair on the map. Suddenly, people really believe that this is truly America's biggest birthday party, but more important than that, it's the 20,000 volunteers and the support of the media that has really made it what it is.
This year, for the first time, VP organizers have 20 photographers covering the fair. They'll shoot about 20,000 pictures. They'll be put together in a hardcover photo documentary book about the fair's 5th anniversary.
We should do it in our own backyard. We've got everything to shoot, marvelous material, and with all the people, all the situations, all the entertainment, we couldn't miss.
Blowing their own horn is, of course, something public relations people are pretty good at. But officials say this $35 book will be a very important step in gaining permanent national attention for the VP Fair.
Well, we have a lot of people who are from out of town ask, what is a VP? They don't quite understand it, maybe. Whether the VP Fair gets a name change in the near future remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure, just because the words veiled prophet stay on everybody's lips the first few days in the month of July doesn't mean everybody understands them. In fact, according to our random sampling of this year's fairgoers, the definitive question was, what's a veiled prophet? Is that still a question?
What's a veiled prophet? What was that question?
That's a good one. Next question, please.
Prophet with a veil?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You're putting me on the spot.
The veiled prophet is so ugly that he has to walk around with a sack on his head.
It's a guy that rides around in a float and he's got a veil on his head.
Say again? What? Do you have any idea? What is what? No idea.
What is a veiled prophet?
Prophet with
Go
ahead! That's a good question. Really, it is. I don't know.
In fact, I asked my brother that yesterday, but he couldn't tell me the answer.
For those of you who don't know what a veiled prophet is, here's the story. It all got started in the spring of 1878 when a group of civic-minded St. Louis business leaders got together to dream up a super spectacular attraction that would draw bigger crowds to the great agricultural and mechanical exposition held in St. Louis every October. Charles Slayback, a transplanted New Orleanian with fond memories of the Mardi Gras, called a special meeting of 20 prominent local businessmen. A dozen showed up. They met on March 20th, 1878 at the old Lindell Hotel to set up a mystic and secret society dedicated to promoting St. Louis to the world as an outstanding commercial center. Slayback turned to his younger brother, Colonel Alonzo Slayback, to conjure up all the mystical and romantic notions of a veiled potentate from the land of Khorasan, who would arrive in St. Louis each October to preside over a pageant and grand ball. The first mysterious potentate was called the Grand Oracle. And even though he wore a mask and veil to cover his eyes, he failed to pull the wool over the spectators' eyes that first night. He was quickly identified as real estate tycoon John G. Priest. In those first years, the prophet always arrived on the St. Louis riverfront on an ornate barge. This mode of transportation was abandoned for many years, following an incident in which a passing steamboat belched out so much heavy smoke, the royal barge became enveloped, and the prophet emerged less recognizable than he was supposed to be. On that first October night, an estimated third of the city's population of 330,000 turned out to witness the first parade. The first parade was called the Nocturnal Illumination Pageant. VP Parade sounds a lot better, doesn't it? From the first year of the festivities in 1878 until 1923, the elegant VP Ball was held the same night as the parade. The first belle of the ball was Susie Slayback, daughter of VP creator Alonzo Slayback. Since that time, the VP Queen has always been a jewel of St. Louis society. Her identity has been kept a secret until the night of the grand soiree. Elaborately designed invitations to the ball were anxiously awaited each year by St. Louis's sophisticated society. In 1894, elegant little party favors began arriving in the mail with the invitations. During the 1960s, the Veil Prophet became the target of enraged civil rights groups. They raised objections to wealthy suburbanites in a closed organization flaunting their wealth through public streets. The civil rights group Action filed a lawsuit challenging the Veil Prophet organization's right to hold its private parties in Kiel Auditorium, a public facility. In 1973, the VP organization announced it was abandoning Kiel as the site for the ball. The ball was then moved to the Chase Hotel. And then, bowing to the charges of racism, the VP organization admitted 3 black physicians into the inner circle in 1979. Those protests of the 60s and 70s have made the Veil Prophet pageant what it is today. 4 days of fun and frolic for all the people of St. Louis.
And of course now, millions of all those people in St. Louis now enjoy the VP Fair.
True.
Now there's one young lady who knows who the Veiled Prophet is this year. Will she tell? That's the Queen of Love and Beauty, Molly Highland, and I'll have her story coming up next.
Don't go away. We have lots more coming your way right after this. From this year's VP Fair for the grand finale. The VP Fair is a real magical time for the whole city of St. Louis, but for one young lady, it is really a special 4 days that create memories that will stay with her for a lifetime.
Mary Genevieve Highland.
In December, Mary Genevieve Highland, who goes by Molly, was crowned the 108th Queen of Love and Beauty by the Veiled Prophet.
I really feel proud to represent St. Louis and represent my family to St. Louis, give back a little bit of all the good things it's given me.
Molly is the 19-year-old daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Highland. She'll be a junior next year at Marymount College in Virginia, studying communications and marketing, and thinking about going into public relations. But for now, she's a queen, complete with crown and scepter and kingdom.
It seems to me like a time when all St. Louisans, everyone, should stop, have a lot of fun, meet each other, and enjoy the good things in life.
Memorabilia from past Veiled Prophet balls and queens are on display here at the Missouri Historical Society. Queen Molly Highland will also be featured in this, the VP Gallery.
Molly's dress will become a part of the permanent collection at the Missouri Historical Society. The small crown within her crown that glistens with diamonds will be hers to keep. As a reminder, she once ruled as a magical queen next to a mythical prophet during a magnificent celebration.
I'm just a normal, everyday person, and I'm not a queenly person at all. But for that night, it seemed like I was. I don't want it to affect the rest of my life. Just want it to be a fun memory.
And Molly says she does know who the veiled prophet is, but she cannot tell because she would lose her crown. So I guess he remains what he should be, a mystery. You know, this year the Veiled Prophet organization wanted to make this a family event, and they did just that. And as Newsroom's Robin Smith reports, when it came to parents and kids were in no short supply.
1985 may go down in history as the VP Fair, which attracted the largest numbers of children in history. And they used just about every mode of transportation you can imagine. Some traveled on shoulders, while a lot of others managed to con big kids, otherwise known as parents, to push them around in carriages. Some even decided to sleep while being moved through the crowds. But if you look at it from the child's point of view, being at the fair is not as much fun as you think. For example, if you're thirsty, you can see the drinking fountains, you can even touch them, but they are too tall for you to drink out of. Then the fair planners added these little free diaper booths where your parents put you through the humiliating experience of changing you in front of everyone. And then there's the embarrassing experience of ending up here at what the adults call the lost children's tent. The youngsters call it the missing parents booth. But despite all the trials and tribulations, we found youngsters who had thoroughly examined the issue of how to have a good time at the fair.
Getting to play in the pool.
In the reflecting ponds?
Yeah.
Swimming out there?
Yeah. I like the parachute, swimming, and just boating, everything. It's fantastic.
And if you want to conduct an opinion poll of what kids think about the 1985 VP Fair, sometimes their faces speak louder than words. And not only will you find kids, but you may see double here at the VP Fair. We selected randomly. Youngsters out of the crowd, we found two sets of twins, Laura and Miguel, Anita and Alana, and Rob and I are the odd guys out because we don't have a twin, right? If you had to make a suggestion, Laura, to improve the VP Fair, what would it be?
I would suggest that the prices of the souvenirs would be lower.
Rob, what's your suggestion? What would make it better?
Well, I think there's too many rowdy people, and there needs to be more control over them.
Less rowdy people. Okay, Alana, what's your suggestion?
I think we should have more rides.
More rides. Anita?
I think that we should have more stars like Lionel Richie, Janet Jackson, and Smokey Robinson.
VP Fair organizers, these are the fairgoers who spend the money in the future. There are their suggestions. And guys, you want a snack right now? Why don't we run and get one? And in the next section, we'll be talking about food, and you'll see George the T-shirt man. That and much more next.
Back to Channel 4's special coverage of the 1985 VP Fair. We are on the Texas deck of the Robert E. Lee, and with me are my very good friend Charlie Gito, who is known to many other people around town as the mayor of 6th Street. How are you, Charlie?
I'm doing fine.
I understand you had a birthday yesterday.
Right.
Happy birthday late.
Thank you.
How many years?
53.
53. Okay, your good friend Tommy Lasorda was in for 3 days. I think he left town today not liking St. Louis an awful lot. What did he think of the fair, though?
He loved it. He really did. He enjoyed it. He thought it was great. He couldn't understand how all these people were all piled into this little area.
Well, Charlie, you have seen downtown really develop. When you first moved into your restaurant downtown, you could roll a bowling ball through downtown St. Louis at night and not hit anybody. But things have changed, haven't they?
Right. A lot. Changed a lot. I've seen the last 3 years, downtown at nighttime is getting real good now. You can stay open. A lot of places will be opening up downtown in the next few months.
Yeah, and this, of course, is the highlight of all that downtown activity. There is a lot of food, and as you can see, Charlie and I are both connoisseurs of food. In fact, let's just say we eat a lot. And you've had a chance to survey the food here. What have you liked best?
I like the Italian sausage,
Now, I
believe it or
wonder
not.
why you would like the Italian sausage. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, there has been a lot of food served here, as you might well imagine. It takes a lot of bratwurst, a lot of Italian sausage, a lot of knockwurst, a lot of ribs, a lot of whatever to feed a crowd for 4 days. And Matt Mahar, who has gained about 23.5 pounds over the last 4 days, has this report on VP Fair food.
If an army travels on its stomach, then the VP Fair is sustained by bratwurst. Fair officials estimate that nearly 250,000 brats and hot dogs will be sold at the fair this year. In addition to selling the brats, the Cry Packing Company gave away several hundred at a bratwurst eating contest on Friday.
The contestants have 5 minutes to stuff as many of these bratwursts in their mouth as they can.
The winner, Roland Lettner of St. Louis, ate 6.5 brats and said he could have kept on going.
Like I was telling him, I wish I had a beer. I could have eaten more.
Lettner wasn't the only fairgoer we found with disgusting eating habits. This man dips his Chinese egg roll in a scoop of ice cream that sits on top of a Belgian waffle covered with apple jelly. The fair's best food was to be found at the International Village along the wharf.
This is a chibap inside there. It's called chibaptichi.
Chibaptichi?
Yeah, that's the European word for it. It's got veal, pork, beef, all rolled together. That's a Serbian cheeseburger.
You selling a lot of these?
Oh, it's like hotcakes, man. They're going fast.
Your sign says the best barbecue.
The best fish kebab is St. Louis.
Taste that for me, would you, and tell me if it's the best barbecue you've ever had?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I came here last year, and this is why I come back. They had the best last year, I remember. Okay.
The International Village served food from 61 different countries. While most people thought the food was delicious, the choices were difficult, and finding a place to eat it was almost impossible. And for many not-for-profit organizations, there will be an after-dinner treat. 40 charities will share an estimated $300,000 from the receipts of the food and beverage booths.
And we're back on the Robert E. Lee here at the VP Fair. Another man who likes food and likes it very much is George, the T-shirt man. That's his last name, the T-shirt man. That's it. It's not Smith or Jones, right?
That's what they call me.
That's right. George, the T-shirt man, a legend in St. Louis, known for his T-shirts, his wild clothing and his T-shirts. George, what's good about being an American today?
Well, take a look at it. Have you ever seen so many people gathered and anything so peaceful and everybody having a good time? There's mothers, there's fathers, there's kids. It don't matter what color, creed, race, or religion. Everybody's here having a good time. Can you beat it?
I can't beat it. You're originally from the Boston area, but George is a true blue St. Louisan? Why is that? You're not going to leave us? You're not going anywhere else?
People have loyalties here that they don't understand east or west.
Yeah.
When you live here, people that live here, that love it here, they wouldn't go nowhere else.
A man who knows how to celebrate the VP Fair, George the T-shirt man. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Okay,
My pleasure.
All right, thank you. T-shirts are very popular, but as Debbie Warshowski discovered during the VP Fair, there is a seemingly endless variety of dress that is appropriate for the fair.
Welcome to the 1985 VP Fair, where millions of people from all over the country are taking this opportunity to make their fashion statements this summer.
A pretty girl.
This year, as in years past, comfort appears to be the key to fair wear. Now, modeling the latest in stereo garb, from Wood River, Illinois, it's Ruth and Roy Schmidt. The Schmidts have chosen snappy ensembles in lavender and blue stripes. Roy has accented his outfit with camera and shoulder strap, but both show their togetherness with matching hats and sunglasses. How did the Schmidts select these outfits?
The laundry isn't done, we're here, so we didn't have a big choice.
Something clean.
Something
lavender.
Yes, that's correct.
And a chain around the neck.
Oh, of course.
And here's Steve Harrison. Steve hails from Washington, D.C. Red hat and black shorts certainly set off his gray Mizzou T-shirt. Certainly looks like a lot of planning went into this outfit.
It did. A lot of planning put on this. Took a lot of work to get this up, get this together right now.
The harem look is definitely back at this year's fair, and Jeannie Shelton of Cedar Hill carries it off perfectly in this daring designer collection.
This came from Apollo's, and this came from the Limited, and the tennis shoes came from a discount shoe store.
These local ladies have assembled a stunning combination of fashion and sensibility. Jessie and Eleanor have taken pastel ensembles in seersucker and knits. set them off with straw hats, shopping bags, cameras, and make the look simply unforgettable as they tote coordinating, colorful lawn chairs.
This was the outfit.
This was the outfit, yes. This says fair, you know.
It screams VP Fair.
Screams, yes.
And here's an example of practicality. This young man uses a balloon in cool summer green to protect his sun-sensitive nose. And these two camera buffs who will never run out of film because, of course, they're wearing it. But surely Greg Patterson of Pittsburgh, PA, has found the solution to the age-old problem of coordinating clothing with cooling beverages. Some prefer a head on their beer, but Greg breaks with tradition and sports beer on his head. The perfect finishing touch for a symphony in yellow.
Yellow's for beer, beer here, beer here, beer here.
I've got three friends here who have found that hats are definitely in vogue for the 1985 VP Fair. That includes Reggie, right there, John and Brian. No, Brian and John. Now, Reggie, I've got to admit, would you model that for just a second?
But I was modeling it?
Yes. Yes, just a little turn and we can see it. Okay, Reggie, the big question is, where did you get it?
Mexico.
Mexico. Okay, now, could you tell me why these little rascals blink? Is this a part of Star Wars?
No.
It's not. What is it a part of?
I don't know.
But you and your brother have a matching set.
Yes.
Yes, that's a fact, right? I got to tell you, they look great. They really do. Do you know who's on stage right now? Any guesses? Let's try Up, Up with the People.
See, Robin, it's not everybody that has crazy outfits.
Crazy? I thought that's what you always wore.
Oh, I see.
That's what I always wear. Sure, look at those. Those are great. We're going to be back with more right after this. I know you won't want to go anywhere. There's more of this stuff.
We're on back again here at the VP Fair for our grand finale. We have just looked over the crowd, and I can say without equivocation, this is the largest final night crowd that I've ever seen. In fact, if sardines could get a look at this crowd, they'd change the old phrase and they'd be talking to each other saying, hey, we're packed in here like people.
At the VP Fair.
Right.
They are up the streets and in the park and just on blankets and lawn chairs, and they're very, very close. But all of them have a good view, of course, because they're going to be looking skyward, just like they were looking skyward for the big McDonnell Douglas Air Show and, you know, other popular attractions we've been telling you about. But, you know, there's another popular attraction that we want to explain to you. Now, Jim is going to take this over right now because it's the Arch. It's been called the centerpiece for America's biggest birthday party. It's also served as a stage, but there is one secret reason behind why the Arch is so popular. Take it away, Jim.
It rises 630 feet into the air, this stainless steel and concrete structure. Towering above the crowded fairgrounds below reigns the Gateway Arch, America's tallest national monument. Each year, about 1 million people ride a tram that curves skyward to the arch-top windows. There, they get a bird's-eye view of St. Louis, and sometimes what one tourist called arch sickness. It seems the monument sways in a stiff breeze.
I can't get my wife up there. I told her it's nice and windy up there. It's moving about 3 or 4 feet each side. That was the end of it. Couldn't get her up there.
One less person won't matter much.
They sold out about an hour ago.
About 10,000 sightseers travel to the top of the arch each day. Patient folks who have waited in long lines for the ride. But during the VP Fair, most of the crowd inside the arch is not there to see the main attraction. During the fair, the longest lines are for the restrooms. How long have you been standing in this line?
About 20 minutes.
Well, at least it's cool in here.
Right, that's for sure.
Cool. That was really the greatest attraction of St. Louis's greatest attraction. Be it the air-conditioned interior or the shadows cast outside, the Arch was one of the few places on the fairgrounds where folks could escape the heat. For the 4 days of the fair, America's tallest monument was a great substitute for America's tallest shade tree.
Friends here, I've got 4 friends here who are waiting for those fireworks to go up right over the arch, right? What's the best part of the anticipation, waiting for those fireworks?
The best part of the fireworks?
Yeah. The anticipation, waiting for them.
I usually enjoy the noise.
The noise?
More than the lights, yes.
Really? You like the boom?
Oh, I sure do. I get a
Okay.
big thrill out of the boom.
What's your thrilling part of the fireworks?
The colors, the beautiful colors.
The boom and the colors. Are you two married to each other?
Yes, we are.
Here's a different couple. What's the best part as far as you're concerned?
I want to see the finale. That's the big boom, the big sparks, the end of it, the flag come out, all that type of stuff.
You got it. Now, he likes the boom, she likes the lights, you like both.
Yes.
How about you?
I like everything. I like the crowd, the excitement that surrounds the whole fair, and everything.
Everything about it. Well, my co-workers are also standing by, just waiting for those fireworks to go off. Debbie and Dennis, what's the best part of the anticipation for both of you?
Watching up with people, I guess. They've been fabulous.
So far, they've been great. They really got the crowd going, and from our vantage point, we can see that the fireworks barges have come down the river, and they're in place.
They're waiting. Don't give away the secret, but it should be very shortly. Robbins people shouldn't have to wait too long.
It looks like the crowd will be at least as big as it was the night of July 4th, and we had a lot of people down here.
They were saying 900,000 people, and it is packed down here, as Debbie and Jim were saying. And they were all swaying with up with people. If you can imagine several 100,000 people swaying to and fro.
Very energetic group.
I'd hate to be the one who got out of step. Squish, right? Dan and Julius Hunter over on the Robert E. Lee right behind us. What's going on over there, guys?
Well, I'll tell you, we are also waiting with great anticipation. We have just seen the tug move the barge in place that is loaded with all of those fireworks, and we're going to don our flak jackets. And
That's right, and bring out the umbrellas because it's about to fall on all on us.
Shower of fireworks right now. You're going to have, as we said, if you're watching at home, the best seat in the house. 9 cameras are going to bring you that big fireworks display from beginning to end, without interruption, without commercial.
That's right, and you know, you can feel the anticipation building here because there is supposed to be a very special surprise on the fireworks at the
I
end.
understand. You know what
Something
it is.
about an extraterrestrial. I'm not
You're
sure.
not
I don't
going to
know. I
tell
don't
us
know
what
what
it
it
is.
is. I don't know what it is, but that's all I heard.
Okay, let's go back to Debbie and Jim near the old cathedral.
And as Debbie told us earlier in that report on Mr. Gaman, the fireworks, it will be during God Bless America, so we're going to keep an ear for that, and we will have no commercial interruptions during the fireworks. You can enjoy all of it with the folks here at the Arch. We'll be back with more coverage of the grand finale of the VP Fair in just a moment. That's the main attraction on tonight's main stage under the Arch. You're seeing it live. 125 young people from countries all over the world who dance and sing and just perform in a marvelous fashion. Let's listen a little bit.
As they perform before the large crowd here tonight prior to the big fireworks.
People are jammed elbow to elbow on the Arch grounds, and as we look from our vantage point all the way up Market Street to 4th and through Luther Ely Park, we can see people with their long chairs. It's really something to see in the biggest crowd we've ever seen here.
You know, there are even a lot of people we can't see who live 40 miles away who are always saying, you know, I can watch the fireworks 4th of July at the VP Fair from my terrace or something. So we're putting on a big show tonight for a lot of folks.
You going to take a picture of us on the monitor there?
Sure. I'm getting all ready for fireworks. All right.
Okay. Preparing for the... I'll give you a chance to do that.
Got it.
Preparing for the VP Fair is a massive job, and it's a result of meticulous planning, lots of hard work. Robin Smith took a look behind the scenes to see what goes on building the VP Fair.
Hammering, pounding, and other construction sounds echo throughout the arch grounds for days, even weeks prior to the opening of the fair. Getting ready means building almost 600 booths. That alone takes 28 tons of steel poles and 4,000 manpower hours to put together. Then there are 30 tents, like this one, scattered throughout the VP Fairgrounds. And this year they were constructed in record time.
There were about 9 people on the crew. They came in, they'd been up since 2, driving it down from Evanston, Indiana. And we worked all day. We set up 27 tents in one day.
Emptying, cleaning, and refilling the reflecting ponds wasn't as easy. It took 50 city Brightside workers 2 days to clean out the debris.
There was quite a bit of glass left in the bottoms from last year's fair. We found quite a few items that were brought in last year. One was a lawnmower cart that was used to cart beer in.
Then there's 1,600 feet of wood and wire fencing that has to go up.
Pain is that all of the fence is pretty much old and the wire is sticking out and it's splintery.
In the past, there has been some criticism of how the VP Fair has left these federal grounds damaged. So this year, a new addition to the construction phase, cyclone fencing, aimed at protecting the federal property. But building the fair is only part of the job. And when that job is completed, another job begins, the job of planning the 1986 VP Fair.
Well, we're pretty well right on schedule, and Up With People on the main stage under the arch is just going into their finale. Why don't we join them and listen and enjoy?
Okay, this is their theme song, Up With People.
Wherever you go, up with people, and the best I want to know. More people, all people everywhere. There'll be a lot less people to worry about, and a lot more people. There'll be a lot less people to worry about, and a lot more people to love. It's the big, future. Running like a heartbeat, the beat of the future. Rolling like a river, ringing like a ride, ripping along at the speed of light. Rocking me down to my feet, the beat of the future. Yeah.
People finishing up their show tonight on the main stage. Well, we're all getting ready for that big spectacular fireworks, and Art Scholl has started off. If you can't wait, we'll be right back. We'll be bringing you all the fireworks, the entire firework display, so stay with us.
And finale, and just preceding the fireworks, this is the work of stunt flyer Art Scholl. This has been traditional for Art to lead into the fireworks with his own dazzling display, fireworks that trail off of the wings, Debbie.
It's also been quite exclusive. Art Scholl is the only man licensed to fly at night with fireworks coming from his wings.
When we fly an air show over an airport, it's a lot safer. If there's an engine failure, you just land at the airport. But if there's an engine failure at the show site, I have no alternative but to land in the river. And that's a real problem. That's the only danger of it. Other than that, we plan ahead. A mechanical failure is the only thing that really worries me that could happen. To keep oriented to the ground and to where you are is an extremely important thing to do. Not only in the daytime, but the night show, it's a must. You should be able to pull the aircraft vertical, close your eyes, complete a vertical roll, and open your eyes and know exactly where you are, because at night, if you get disoriented, you're dead. But it is a thrill when you look down and see that crowd, that you've pleased that crowd, that they're happy that you're up there. You know, it's a lot of important personal recognition to know that you've pleased a lot of people. They may not have even ever met me or ever see me, but I know that I've made a lot of boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen very, very happy.
Now Art will reset another charges out of refire once again as we go into the second act of this Skytacular's Pyrotechs by Professor Art Show. Ladies and gentlemen, as Art sets up for the grand finale, preceding the spectacular out here tonight, Art will refire the switches once again and reload them and set it up for this great sky concert here tonight. Gary Caimano, the designer, the gentleman who did the 1984 Olympics, will be setting this spectacular out here, this sky concert, and Art will open it with his grand finale here. Watch carefully now. You will not be able to see him until he's right on top of the river, and he'll pull to the vertical line. He'll be coming in straight at us, pulling to the vertical line. And here we go for the grand finale of the 1985 VP Fair here in St. Louis. And Jerry Stamm, this is your last shot. I'm proud of you, old buddy. As Art is getting himself set up.
St. Louis, let's say thank you, Art Show.
Here he comes, and here we go for the sky concert. Take it away, Arthur, and everybody. How about that, ladies and gentlemen?
Well,
all right, ladies and gentlemen,
preview to the grand finale fireworks show. Last night, he went back across the river into Illinois and then made a swoop right over the top of the barge as his last little act of trigger, you know, to the fireworks display, and it was really magnificent. And this being the grand finale, I'm sure tonight's fireworks show is going to be something to behold, and we're not going to interrupt it anywhere for commercials, so you're going to see every bit of it as we do, and you'll see it, of course, in living color. Should be great.
Yes, and last night, speaking of colors, there were many varied colors. Let's go now to the big fireworks display.
And this is a compelling, moving rendition of our national anthem.
Magical moments that have never been done. The beginning of the show makes dramatic statements, very dramatic red, white, and blue statements. And we have a tribute to the Statue of Liberty in terms of the centennial year upcoming, that we should take a moment to reflect on what that means in this show. We also have St. Louis Blues that we've done in a very, very kind of gutsy manner in blue, silver, pink, and green that we're very excited about. So you do have that combination of things that we are going to accomplish that people are really going to see and say, hey, this is different. This is nice. Everything has to be back-timed. Everything has to be programmed. A musical score has to be adopted. We do that ourselves. We make our own musical score. We have our own musical studio. Jim Souza, who is another vice president of the company, does all the musical production. It's his job, to produce the music. And on this show, my job is to produce the effects to the music. So we work together, make sure it happens, and get a crew in here and make it work. We created a very, very special finale, larger, louder, bigger than I think you've ever seen here. And 3,000 effects will go up in a minute and a half, which should be just sensational.
it's a salute with fireworks to the brave men and women who instill and capture the American spirit.
And to the people like you who reflect her American spirit. patriotic moment captured by novelty shells and effects in a rainbow of spectacular thrills.
That's dazzling to say the least. Now we're going to see and hear the fanfare for the common man. A salute to the fabric of America, the common man's tribute to his country, with gold and silver sparkling lights raising the curtain on this dazzling pageant.
Your time, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send news, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
tribute to the glorious land that we love. God bless America. A pyrotechnic salute to America's emblem.
With a special aerial moment being captured in the sky on this one. Watch closely.
And the fans love it.
I think some of them think that may be it, because a lot of people are leaving right now, but there's much more to come. As you can see, the people leaving the arch grounds right now, they think it's over.
Not so. We have the Stars and Stripes, the grand finale and the closing tribute to America's largest birthday party. That was the surprise we were told about.
Certainly wonderful. More to come. Well, I think that may be it. Of course, I don't think we could ask for more, do you?
If you had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it an 11.
Yes, I think so. The crowd loved it, as you can imagine.
I just wondered last night after that spectacular show what he could come up with for an encore, and we showed it, but here's some more to come.
Here we go. Just to pause the action.
Jerry Stan, Joe Marshall, and Julius White. I don't know where Julie's at, but Jerry's up here.
St. Louis, what a beautiful display, and we hope you loved it. Let's hear it one time for St. Louis.
All right, Jerry Stam. And our thanks, of course, to Zach Mosey, our stage ops up here. John Mosby over at the airport, coordinating the air show director. Tom Green up here. Kathy Lack up here from the FAA. Ken Marshall, of course. Ken, take a bow and say something.
Thanks very much. A great show.
Ken Marshall, of course, in charge of all the fireworks out here. Tom Davison from the FAA. And all these fine people.
And that seems to be it for the Pyro Spectacular Group, California.
Gary Caimano, who presented the fireworks at the 1984 Summer Olympics, as we told you, was the man behind this spectacular show. And if he's back next year, he'll have some job topping himself, I'll tell you that. We'll be back to wrap things up here on the Arch Grounds, the VP Fair in just the great fireworks finale here on the Arch Grounds, the finale to this year's 108th VP celebration and the 5th VP Fair. What do you say we throw it around to all of our reporters on the scenes and see what their thoughts are as we close out tonight?
Okay, I think that's a great idea, because to me it seemed like in addition to all the big booms and the pops and the bursts, we had some dancing of the fireworks tonight. Let's go to Robin Smith now and see what she thought of the fireworks and also the people around her. Robin?
Debbie, there was almost a hush throughout this crowd as they just watched in amazement, looking up to the sky. They were very orderly. Now you can hear them trying to get up Market Street to their cars, but in a word, they're not excited, they are ecstatic. So we're going to let them make their way out of downtown, but they enjoyed it. Dennis and Debbie Warshawski, from your vantage point, what was the impression of them?
Same thing. I think now when Gary Caimano talks about choreography, we know what he means.
I like to quote Debbie Warshawski during that. She said, "Holy cow." That was your quote on that thing.
Original.
It was spectacular. Incredible. Well, one thing that was really interesting, the crowd is still here, by the way, if you couldn't tell, was the reaction of the crowd when everybody thought the fireworks were over. They all started to leave, and then all of a sudden the finale came. Everyone froze. No one moved a muscle. Well, the only muscle moved was people's jaws dropping, right?
We think what might have happened at the end is a little bit of a hang-up with the helicopter that was bringing in the flag special effect, because they were supposed to be in during God Bless America, but no matter, it was still terrific.
Dan and Julius are over on the Robert E. Lee where there was a party going on. What was your reaction over there, guys?
Well, I'm going to tell you, we were literally right under the fireworks displays, and I always thought it was a corny expression to say the crowd oohed and awed, but
we heard them.
There was a tumultuous ooh and a tumultuous ah every now and then when the fireworks just were absolutely spectacular, and somehow I am sort of shaken inside right now a little bit,
I'll tell you,
and I'm having trouble hearing you.
That's right.
So speak loudly, will
okay,
you?
I certainly will. You could feel the thunderous report of each kaboom, and you could feel this whole deck shake as each one of them went off, and it was quite an exciting thing to witness in
I have
person.
never figured out how they pull that off. I understand it's all done by remote control from that barge, and
right.
It's incredible. We were literally just a short distance from the barge where the fireworks were coming from, and it here on the deck of the Robert E. Lee, incredible feeling, and everybody here is feeling like it's. I think we have a shot of the people here who are watching. You know, some of the people who are watching here are sort of standing over there. Can
I was watching some of the faces here, and they were awestruck. I mean, it was like they were frozen watching everything.
Absolutely.
And, a great time. A great time.
I saw Tito Landrum say, "That's a winner."
That's a winner.
Yeah,
they had a winner today. And we'll go back to Jim and Debbie now.
That reminds me, Jim, a little bit about after the World Series in '82. All people can say is, how about them Cardinals? This is kind of, how about them fireworks?
How about them fireworks? We want to thank the 100 or more technical people who have helped put our entire week together. It has been spectacular, and it's been a real pleasure to work with all of these great people. And there you see the names of many of the behind-the-scenes folks who helped put this special together. And, of course, a special salute to our own official VP Fair meteorologist and Channel 4 meteorologist, Mike Squires, who was so great, along with Mike Nelson, Ali Roman, and yours truly, in putting together a great week of weather. I'll tell you, we just had a ball.
Yes, it was. And we also want to thank all of the newsroom reporters for contributing such in-depth and really interesting reports about the VP Fair.
And on behalf of all of us at Channel 4, we hope you've had a ball in celebrating our happy birthday to America, and we want to pass along the wishes of all of our staff for the safest and happiest year ahead. We'll be back next year right here, and it'll be bigger and better than ever. Jim Boland, along with Debbie Fabian, we thank you very much for joining us for all of our coverage here on the Arch Grounds for the VP Fair special tonight. And of course, Debbie for doing such great yeoman work in presenting more than 100 live reports from the fairgrounds all week long. As it says on the screen, a special thanks to the entire newsroom team and especially to you at home who watched and enjoyed with us. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next year at the fair. Good night.
Good night.
This portion of the 1985 VP Fair finale has been sponsored by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. By Gundaker Realtors, Better Homes and Gardens are proud to bring you this portion of the VP Fair fireworks finale. By McBride & Sons, St. Louis is our home too. And by St. Louis Federal, a member of the First Nationwide Network.